Good morning, good afternoon. How is everybody doing this week? Welcome to episode number 28 of Freight Be Moving, All Things Logistics with me, Jewel Williams. Welcome back to another week. I hope everybody had a fantastic week. You accomplished a lot. You got a lot of things done, and you're waiting on the great holiday, which is the big day, Christmas, coming up in a week. I can't believe it. It's in a week. So I've got some great things for you today. We're going to talk about logistics and the cash flow of money, how those two connect together. And stay tuned to the end, because I am going to share with you a resource to help you, those of you who may be looking in this area, help you figure out how you can jumpstart getting fundings for your business. So, and also, if you like, share this video, subscribe to the video, comment down below. I would love to get your feedback, comments on how this information is beneficial to you, or maybe you want me to talk about another topic that can help your business get to the next level, or maybe even you get to the next level of whatever dream, desires that you're attempting to do as a business owner. All right, so let's get into this today. So first off, I want to talk about wisdom. Wisdom. As you all know, I'm John Maxwell, leadership coach, trainer. I speak. We do the leadership game, and we assess behavior. Doing so, I always like to begin my podcast with sharing some wisdom that I have received during the week through the John Maxwell team. And I believe that wisdom is power. I'm sure you've heard that before. Knowledge is power. Wisdom is power. Because through the attainment of wisdom, we gain the knowledge of ourself, power of ourself, power to make decisions, and the power of understanding. Through wisdom, we gain power of ourself, power to make decisions, and the power of understanding. Those three things are critical as we go through day to day as leaders. We definitely need the wisdom, and we need to reach out to resources to gain that wisdom. Some of us read news, some of us read things in books like John Maxwell, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Some of us get business coaches. And through those videos, we are, as leaders, we're able to grow and rise up to help our teams be more productive, be more communicative, and we can have influence and impact through wisdom. All right, so we need information to help us. Without information, being able to be effective leaders is difficult. No matter who you are, you have to have information. So you must constantly be looking for information to feed yourself, to help yourself attain a greater level of understanding. So this information that I present to you today is geared to helping you get value so that you can get your business to the next level. So today's episode is about wisdom and finances as they pertain to the logistics of transportation. All right, so let's get into it. So first, let's do a recap of last week. Last week, I talked to you guys about a company that I'm a part of, the National Small Business Association. I'm part of the Leadership Council, and I talked about the new Corporate Transparency Act. Now, if you're looking at my screen, you can see that I've got the website nsba.biz/CTA. This Corporate Transparency Act will go into effect in 2024, January 1st, 2024. And the act was implemented by our government with the intentions of gaining more insight and information about small businesses and the beneficiaries of those businesses. Now, this is a very serious situation because smaller businesses that make $500 million or less will be required to hand over more information about their activities, who the beneficiaries are in that business. And it's important that we maintain privacy of our organizations. I understand the need that government has to make sure that they are preventing illegal activities. The bad players, they want to capture the bad players. I get it. However, should all small businesses be targeted to where we have to hand over more information than publicly traded businesses? Do publicly traded businesses, do they have to give up their state IDs with their pictures on it, their driver's license information on it, to the federal government so that the federal government knows who are the beneficiaries of that business? Would it be fair if every stockholder of every business on publicly traded had to give up their IDs to the federal government so that they made sure that they knew who they were, that they weren't laundering or they weren't doing some illegal activities? I think it's a bit of an overstretch of our government. That's why the National Small Business Association has initiated a lawsuit against the Treasury Department to stop this from being implemented under the conditions that it is right now. So if you're interested in learning more about this, visit nsba.biz/CTA so that you guys can be informed. Now, the bill has already passed. Obviously, they slipped that one under. Some of us knew, some of us didn't. I'm just learning about it now that I'm part of the NSBA Leadership Council. As we advocate for small businesses, we want small businesses to get a fair shake in this economy. We are the backbone of the economy. We contribute a lot to this economy. Therefore, we should not be punished because we want to branch out and be official business owners. Every public company started somewhere and they all started small. So we want to keep that. We want to keep encouraging people to be in business, not discouraging them. So that's my public service announcement for that. I want to ask again, if you like what you're hearing, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast with somebody you believe and you know that can utilize this information for their small business. We want to make sure that all small businesses out here can get this information so that they can make better decisions, as we had just talked about. With wisdom and knowledge, we empower ourselves. We gain power within ourselves. All right. Now, I often see this question on the internet. And the question is, how do I get money for my business? How do I finance my business? I see this question so often when I am in these circles of startup businesses and people looking to understand what is available for them for financing. And I see a lot of misinformation, a lot of, I would call it predatory information. Now, I do believe if you offer value to someone, that person should be paying you to extract that value. I do not dispute that at all. However, I do see from time to time people that are just giving information out. However, either the value is unclear or there's another door you got to open up to get more. And I often ask myself, how many doors and how much money and do I need to outlay before I get all the information? What's the magic number? So to help you as either a startup, or maybe you are already formulated, and now with all of the high cost of doing just day-to-day, getting gas, buying groceries, on top of managing a business, you might have the question in your mind: how can you get more funds for your organization or your small business, and how to scale and grow? Because it does take money to make money. That is a cliche, is very true. It does take money to make money. So here today, I want to help you break that subject down for startups. So when you're talking about cash flow, you're talking about two paths. Just going to narrow down the two paths. You've got your fixed assets, and then you've got your current assets. So with your fixed assets, you're talking about stuff like property, you're talking about machinery, you're talking about, if you're a truck driver, you're buying a truck. If you are a freight broker, most of your properties would probably be your building. If you've got a building that you are purchasing or leasing, you've got equipment such as your computers that you have purchased that you will be using long term. Those would be part of your fixed assets. Now, if you've got inventory, your inventory is going to be over there in your current assets, because that's going to be turning. That's going to be turning a lot. So your shippers, such as your manufacturers, your wholesalers, your retailers, distributors, most of the time you're going to have current assets that you're turning. Now you will have some fixed assets, but when I'm talking in reference to moving money, what is going to help your company make that money? And what kind of money will you need to borrow so that you can purchase those assets to help your company make money? And so let me just state, while I'm on this pause, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a business owner, just like you, sharing insight so that you will have a little bit more information about how to improve your cash flow. So one of the organizations that I looked at today in talking about this, they address something that I think a lot of people miss out on. And what they're missing out on is understanding where cash flow actually, where it all happens. Now, I did this, pulled this report from a finance company that did a survey. So I'm not promoting them, but the companies did a survey. They are called C2FO. Like I said, they're not paying me for this. But I thought the presentation and the survey that they conducted could help give a visual to what I wanted to bring to this conversation. And one of the things they talked about is when they did the survey, they found that wholesale trade, accommodations, and food services and construction have the most expenditure, and that a lot of monies would be spent in 2023 on these industries. Now, of course, wholesale, you're looking at your buying of merchandise and material, but you've also got that cost of transportation in the background, and that contributes to your high cost as well, because as rates increase, so does the cost of transportation. And if you're using intermodal transportation, and what I mean by that, if you're using ocean freight, air freight, rail freight, and truck freight, those four modes or combination thereof, you're using intermodal transportation. So your costs are going to be a lot different than a company that's only using one form of transportation, say trucking. Now, if you are importing or exporting goods into or out of the United States, there is definitely the chance that you're going to be using intermodal transportation, which would require you to team up with a freight forwarder, customs broker, and possibly even a freight broker. So each of those brokers have different responsibilities. Most 3PLs have a house of each in each of those. That's why a lot of businesses are attracted to 3PLs, because they can do that one-stop shop where they go into the company and build a relationship, and they get access to freight brokers, freight forwarders, customs brokers. They also have access to ocean carriers, air carriers, and rail carriers. Whereas sometimes independent freight brokers do not have access to that whole kit and caboodle. And these are some things that will impact your cost. So one of things that the decision makers were definitely concerned about for 2023 include the increase in costs. So I want to share a little bit of my screen here so that you could see what I'm talking about. For those of you who are watching the YouTube channel, you're definitely seeing this, but for those of you who are listening to this, on the screen I have a report that was done by C2FO 2022 Working Capital Survey, and I'm sharing this information to give some visual. So decision makers who are concerned about higher interest rates said that they will likely increase pricing. 47% say they're going to increase pricing. That means it's going to ripple effect. And that is also going to impact your cash flow. That is also going to impact how much money you're going to need if you're a startup. These are things you're going to be looking at when you're doing your business planning, when you're sourcing the products you may sell, and attempting to get a hold of what type of funding you're going to need for your business. So also, they're going to delay some investments in new products. They talk about minimizing pay increases. Now, we saw a lot of pay increases during 2020, 2021, as people left and quit the great expiration or great quitting that went on. People or companies gave pay raises. So you're going to see a lot of that go away as prices increase, as rates increase, as the Federal Reserve has raised rates again. These are all a part of what you need to be aware of when you are looking at your cash flow. And it's important as business owners to be on top of these types of information. And I will share this. This is something that was on the internet. I would be more than happy to share the link to this. And if you want to read more about it, you can find it in the show notes. Now, one of the things that they addressed with this survey is what were the biggest obstacles to getting capital. And I think that is important to understand. And this chart shows high interest rates being the top obstacle to getting capital. And it's a deterrent. If you needed to buy a new truck for your fleet, or you were a owner-operator and you only have one vehicle, and you needed to upgrade that vehicle, as you know, the government is encouraging the transition to electric vehicles. So we know it's coming. We just don't know when it's going to get here. But as we pay attention to things and the trends that are happening, we will start to see more diesel vehicles being replaced with electric vehicles and our hybrids thereof. As we watch Tesla on several occasions give news reports about the delivery of their new electric vehicles, and Pepsi will be one of the recipients of the first round. And so these are things that you're going to be looking to plan for as you want to buy new equipment, you're going to have to look at money's interest rates to borrowing that money and how that's going to impact your cash flow. So decreasing revenue is another obstacle. Revenue decreases, of course, as prices drop down. Therefore, that leads to poor cash flow. So you see this trickle effect that can happen that you as a business owner, as a leader, need to be mindful of as you're building your business, whether that be a service business or whether that be a manufacturing, distribution, retail organization. These are vital pieces of information that you want to pay attention to. So again, give me a comment down below. How is inflation impacting your business? How are you dealing with that? What tools are you using? Are you sourcing through another private family credit cards? Are you just holding off altogether? Have you even thought about this? If you are coming into as a startup, have you even thought about what it's going to take? And have you thought about these specific topics, interest rates, and how that's going to impact your cash flow? Give me some comments down below. Let me know how you are handling this. So a lot of companies are also dealing with the problem of liquidity. So as a new business owner, as a startup, some of the things you want to be looking at when you're building your business plan, when you're doing your research, or maybe you're restructuring right now, maybe you're trying to figure out how are you going to improve your cash flow right now. Now, in the transportation and logistics industry, it is common for brokers to use what they call factoring. Factoring is a process that you sell your receivables to a company at a discount so that you can get the cash flow right away. That company seeks the monies from your shipper or vendor, whoever owes you for that invoice. There's some pitfalls in there because now that factoring company is going to be who has that relationship or introduced to relationship with your customer. And you have to be mindful of these things because could this be a backdoor for your competition to enter and take your customer? Hey, you've got to pay me anyway. I can help support you in your day-to-day operations, and you don't have to go through XYZ company that you're waiting 30, 60, 90 days to pay. We can do that for you and provide you with this service. Something to think about, something to be aware of as you are researching, building, and discovering how to make your business work. You always need to be aware of the risk of when you do something. What's the risk involved? And sometimes we get a little narrow-sighted when we're looking at risk because we only think of interest rate as the risk. However, there is other risk that are not so direct but do and can have an impact, such as factoring, thus opening a doorway for competition to enter, thus building a relationship with your customer, weakening the relationship you have with the customer. So keep those things in mind. Just keep those things in mind. So another part of this, I want to share the screen with you that they address, I think is very important. It's getting an idea of cash flow. Owner's capital and lines of credit are the most used sources of financing. So, excuse me. So they talk about, take a sip of water. So on the screen, they have two columns. One is used now, the other is available. Cash flow from operations, used now at 53%, available 70%. Owner's investment capital, used now 46%, available 64%. These are elements you want to look at, when you're looking at your financial statements, go over this information with your accountant. I definitely encourage that, or your financial advisor. But it's important to understand that you can see down on the the fourth entry says government support like grants, tax incentives, or subsidies used now. Of their surveyors, 41% use that now. Available is 60%. That number indicates to me that not very many people are taking advantage of government support. And that, I think that right there is a pivoting point, something to pivot around and digest, because right now, as we speak, we've got the new infrastructure reconstruction bill that has been signed and is implemented. And with that bill, all the departments within the government are getting funded for various projects. Now, the bulk of those projects are being managed or bid on by publicly traded companies. They've got the workforce, they've got the skill set. However, they're limited. They don't have it all. So they're going to need some help from a small business organization. That is where, as a business owner, a startup, you want to start looking at the possibilities of getting that into that sector to help you with the cash flow. You see, logistics applies to everything. There is a logistics process in everything we do, including the movement of money. So government is it is a distribution channel for monies to flow. But it just doesn't flow just because you want it. You have to find how your organization can be valuable to help with the mission. Where can your organization fit into the mission to get the infrastructure bill goals and vision accomplished? That's the mindset that you want to center around. And so as you're thinking about cash flow, don't just think about how you can grab it from the bank or get it from your credit cards. Think about how you can bring value to the projects, thus being paid through the projects because you've brought value into the projects. That's the message. That's where you want to find the nuggets. There's the wisdom. And finding the information to that, you gain the power to increase your cash flow. That's where you want to be. So it covers several other things: government loans, factoring invoices that companies are using to finance their organization's operations, the purchasing of new machinery, and paying employees, paying taxes, and so forth. So now for my, I would like to say my big reveal, but it's really not a huge reveal. But I want to give you some context and examples of what capital increasing can bring to the table, and also help you see where you can find out about how governments begin the process of soliciting the business sector so that they can bid on contracts to get some of the monies that they need for these projects. So I first want to highlight in DC Velocity today, they announced that Logistics Plus opens a new 1.1 million square foot Phoenix warehouse. That is a fixed asset, and it took borrowing to get that asset built, the construction that went into it, those metal poles that you see. Each piece of that warehouse needed somebody, some business to help make that happen, whether it was sourcing the concrete, sourcing the metal pole distributor, the railings for the roofing, finding logistics for the trucks for the movement of the products to the facility. Everything that built that came by truck, and somebody had to finance it through the operations cash flow. And so with that, you get the concept that I'm bringing about is to make that happen is the logistics and the movement, not only of the product, but of the monies that it took for each of those operations to come together. Now, the Federal Register, as I have talked about before, is a daily journal, free to the public, of information that is it's almost like a blog. But the Federal Register has been around for years, and it is a free publication. You can sign up to get notifications daily. However, you can just visit their website and get the information. So as I was searching through today, I noticed that there is a notice of solicitation of applications for the Rural Energy for America program for fiscal year 2023. When you see something like this, what the government is asking for are bidders for projects. This is where it begins. So a lot of people are telling you, oh, I can help you find and I can help you source. With a little bit of your own research and initiative, you can find it for yourself and do the work. And if you don't want to do the work, well, then you're going to have to pay somebody to do it for you. That's just the nature of the beast. But what this is asking, the agency is the Rural Business Cooperative Services, USDA, and they issued a notice that they are soliciting. It's the Notice of Solicitation of Applications, NOSA, N-O-S-A, announces the acceptance of grant, guaranteed loan, and combined grant and guaranteed loan applications under the Rural Energy for America program, otherwise known as REAP, R-E-A-P. So this notice is asking for suppliers of these materials for this project. You're gonna have to read through the project. You're gonna have to understand what they're looking for, and if your business or organization has a service or product that can help with this, then you want to apply for it. You also just might want to look at it, because as somebody who's sourcing businesses to do business with, so such as freight forwarders or freight brokers who are looking for shippers to do business with, this is a lead for you. This is a nugget I'm just dropping to help you understand this is how you go out and find business. This is how you get your cash flow going. This is how you figure out where you can find monies for your business. It's going to take money to make money. Either that money is going to be in time, or it's going to be paid somebody to help you put this together. So I'm going to have a link to this article so that you can dig through this. Now, it says application deadline dates and times as are outlined in 7 CFR 4281.22 and 4280.156A. Do your due diligence, look into this, and if this is something that you can do, apply. So to be a part of these government contracts, your first line of entry should be registering your business with sam.gov, okay? sam.gov. That should be your first line of business. And I'm going to show on the screen right here. If you're listening, It is sam.gov. sam.gov. That is the website you can go to begin to register your organization. You need to be already an organization, however. Just know that. You already need to be an organization. Now, there is a lot of debate out there as whether or not you can get a contract or whether you can, but just go through and read the information. Gain the wisdom so that you can gain the power to understand what they need, and you can gain the power to bring in the cash flow into your business. It is about gaining the wisdom so you can gain the power. Without the wisdom, without the knowledge, you are at a disadvantage from your competition. I guarantee it. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hope this information was helpful to you. I hope you gained some insight and some wisdom from what I brought to you today, in hopes that you can build a stronger business, increase your cash flow, position yourself so that you can stay competitive out here in this environment. Stay positive. Stay positive. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that is probably weighing on your shoulders as small business owners, but feed yourself with positive information each and every day. Keep the light bright. Without it, you go dim, and I don't want to see that. I want to see you stay positive. So I hope this information was helpful to you today. Like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Talk to me. Talk to me. All right. I will see you next week, the Friday before Christmas. And have an awesome and blessed weekend.